Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be solving LeetCode 20 valid parentheses. So we're given a string S that contains brackets, so three different types of brackets, and they have open and closing brackets. And we need to see if this string is valid. So for it to be deemed valid, there's three rules. Open brackets must be closed by the same type of bracket. So circular brackets must be closed by circular brackets, and they must be closed in the correct order. So you can't end with an opening bracket and you can't start with a closing bracket because that wouldn't make sense. And the third rule is every closing bracket has to have its corresponding open bracket of the same type. So this can be solved efficiently in linear time using a stack. So let's get into the explanation. Okay, so we're going to iterate through the array once. Anytime we encounter an opening bracket, we're simply going to put it into the stack. We're going to push it to the stack. And if we encounter a closing bracket, we're going to pop from that stack and check if that the one we just popped is the correct corresponding open bracket to the closing bracket that we just encountered. And if it's empty, we're simply going to return false, because if it's empty, then it didn't have the corresponding bracket. So this will make more sense when we do this example. So this is the first iteration. It's an opening bracket. So we're simply going to push to the stack. Then we're going to go to the next iteration, and it's a closing bracket. So we know that we have to pop from the stack. If this stack was empty at this point, we could just return false. And we're going to pop this out of the stack. And then we're going to check, is this also a circular bracket? It is, so we're good. And we can just delete this. Now we're going to the next iteration. It's an opening bracket. So we're going to push to the stack an opening bracket. Then we're going to go to the next iteration, and we're going to pop. And we see that it's the correct corresponding bracket, a square bracket. And we're just going to go to the next iteration. It's another opening bracket, so we're simply going to push this. Then we're going to move on to the next iteration. It's a closing bracket, and we have the correct one, and so on and so forth. We reach the end of the array, and then we're going to check at the end. If the stack is empty at the end, that means that it's valid, because we only push opening brackets to the stack. So if at the end of this iteration, we still had something in there, that means we had an opening bracket. We ended with an opening bracket, which means it's invalid. The way we can tell if once we pop from the stack, we can tell something is valid by using a dictionary, and each closing bracket will be mapped to its corresponding opening bracket, and then we can check if it's valid using that. So let's get into the code. Okay, so we're going to initialize a dictionary that maps every closing bracket to its corresponding opening bracket. And we can just do that like this. Sorry if I make a typo here. Ooh. Okay, and then finally the curly bracket. And oh, that should be good. Pretty sure. Okay. And then we're going to initialize a stack like this. And then we're going to iterate through the string. So for character in string. And then we're going to check, is this character a closing bracket? And we can check this by checking if it's in the dictionary. And this basically just checks the keys to see if it's in the dictionary. And we can have an else, which will mean it's a opening bracket. So if it's a closing bracket, that means we want to check the stack. So if the stack is empty, we can just do that like this. We're simply going to return false because the stack can't be empty if we encounter a closing bracket. Otherwise, we're going to pop from the stack. So we can do stack.pop. And then we can check, is this bracket that we just popped equal to the one in the dictionary? So if the one in the dictionary, so this is basically just checking if the opening bracket that we just popped, we're going to use that as a key, or rather, we're actually going to use C. So we're going to check if this that we're creating on, so this is a closing bracket, so it's going to map to this, which is an opening bracket because the stack holds opening brackets, and this is going to give us the value. If this is equal, that means that this is correct, but we want to check if it's not equal. So we're going to do not equals and then return false. This case is when we encounter an opening bracket. In that case, we're simply going to append to the stack C. And at the end, we can just check, is this stack empty or not? So we can do that by this, like this. So not stack would mean that it's empty. We want it to be empty. And see if this works. Looks like it works. Submit our code. It worked, and it's pretty efficient. So the time complexity of this is O of n, our linear time. And looks like we beat 100%. Thanks for watching.